The ARC is a nonprofit organization that is comprised of 35 municipalities and college campuses, along with Oakland, Wayne, and Washtenaw counties. The ARC focuses on restoring the uses of the Rouge River for the area residents. In addition to that, we also help the municipalities comply with their water quality permit requirements. And if you're in the northern part of Wayne County, southern part of Oakland County, and the very eastern part of Washtenaw County, you're in the Rouge River watershed. And why that's important is because everything you do on the land affects the water quality in the Rouge. Partnerships are key to the ARC. So we work with federal, state, and local governments to carry out all the work that we do. So the more development creates more impervious surfaces. And impervious surfaces are hard surfaces that rain doesn't infiltrate into. And so the more development you have, the faster runoff gets to the river, which can cause the banks to scour. It washes out habitat for fish and aquatic bugs. And so what you want to do is manage that runoff from those sites using things like green infrastructure. An example is a rain garden, where you direct the stormwater from your site to a low area and allow it to infiltrate into the ground rather than discharge directly to your storm sewer. So the concrete channel behind me was built by the Army Corps numerous years ago in order to prevent flooding in portions of the watershed, of the Rouge River watershed. And it works really well for that, but it's not very good for water quality. So as part of the habitat restoration efforts that the ARC partners with the Rouge River Advisory Council, we have reattached the oxbow at the Henry Ford to the concrete channel. Now an oxbow is just a bend in the river that naturally occurs, and when the concrete channel was put in, this oxbow was eliminated from the river. So we actually made 2 open cuts to the concrete channel, and now water from the Rouge flows through the oxbow at the Henry Ford. It allows fish and mammals and amphibians a place to go outside of what can be the fast-flowing Rouge River. So unfortunately, as urban areas develop, there can be mistakes that happen with connections between the sanitary sewer system and the storm sewer system. So these connections happen typically accidentally, and they cause wastewater to get into the storm sewer system. The ARC is actively looking for these cross connections and trying to eliminate them every year as we do our work. Getting rid of fish barriers is one of the priorities of the Rouge River Advisory Council and of the ARC. And the historic dam at Henry Ford Estate provides a barrier in the Rouge which prevents fish from migrating up from the Detroit River. Through funding from our federal partners, we were able to create a fishway around the dam because we want to keep the dam in place because it's historic. And so we created a fishway around the dam, which when the fishway is open, it'll allow fish to travel upstream and downstream of the dam, giving access to 158 miles of river that was formerly not accessible to them. Now, I mentioned that the fishway isn't open yet, and that means there's no water in it yet. We're allowing the grasses and the vegetation around the fishway to establish. We need to let that grow, and we have it fenced off. And so we really ask that you respect the fence and not go beyond the fence into the fishway. We know it looks intriguing and interesting, but we need you to keep on the other side of the fence so we don't trample any of the vegetation and allow that area to grow up so we can stabilize the soils, so eventually we can open up the river to the fishway and allow that fish passage to occur. Well, there's a ton of things people can do to improve the environment around them and to have an impact on the river. One of those things is if you have fats, oils, and greases, keep them out of your sink when you're cooking. Put them into a glass jar, or I've got a salsa jar at home. So put them in a glass jar and then throw it into the trash. You don't want to drain that to your sink because it'll clog up the sanitary sewers and cause sewer overflows. Another example is if you have a septic system. If you're on a septic system rather than a sanitary sewer, make sure you have that septic system inspected and cleaned out every 3 to 5 years. that'll help maintain its useful life and cause you a lot less expenses in the long run. The ARC has a website, which is allianceofrougecommunities.com. We also have a Facebook page where we have lots of helpful tips on what you can do to improve water quality. You can also look to our partners at Friends of the Rouge at therouge.org. They have lots of opportunities to volunteer, whether you want to plant a rain garden, whether you want to help with a river cleanup, and many other opportunities for you to improve the area around you. So it's just a great thing for people. It'll improve our quality of life in Southeast Michigan as these restoration projects really get off the ground and improve the conditions in the river.